Oh, right.
Yeah, of all of these. Or just the recent hearings, just these two.
My name's Bill Sedivy. I'm the Executive Director of Idaho Rivers United. And we're a statewide river conservation organization. Our mission is to protect and restore the rivers of Idaho. And we're here today for two main reasons. Number one, we want to thank Idaho Department of Transportation Director Brian Ness for agreeing to hold contested case hearings to review permits for a series of proposed megaloads between Lewiston and Montana along U.S. Highway 12. The ConocoPhillips hearings, which were held here in Boise on Wednesday and Thursday, address 4 loads that the oil industry and folks at the Port of Lewiston hope will pave the way for hundreds of building-size, road-closing shipments along the Clearwater and Lochsa Rivers by ExxonMobil and other industrial shippers. We found the testimony during that 2 days of hearings to be enlightening, and we found it to be disturbing. So that's the first reason we're here. Secondly, we wanted to let Idaho Transportation Department Motor Vehicles Chief Alan Frew know that we take exception to his testimony that characterized those who oppose the mega shipments as nuts. We believe that Mr. Frew's comments exemplify ITD's dismissive attitude and Governor Otter's attitude toward those who have legitimate concerns about these proposed region-altering shipments. The thousands of peanuts in this sack here are meant to represent the thousands of Idahoans, including the 3,500 members of Idaho Rivers United, the 3,000 some people who signed petitions for ITD opposing the megaloads, and the nearly 800 folks who submitted thoughtful written comments over the proposed shipments. So that's what these nuts that we are going to deliver later to Mr. Frew represent. We would submit that the people who oppose the megaloads are not nuts, Mr. Frew. They are local residents and small business owners who have legitimate concerns about the impacts of these shipments on their ability to get work, obtain medical care, and draw tourism traffic to their shops. The opponents are hunters and fishermen. They are campers, they are hikers, they are bird watchers, and they are whitewater boaters who know that they will lose access to their favorite Clearwater and Lochsa River fishing holes, their trailheads, and their boat launches if ITD allows Conoco and ExxonMobil to close pullouts and parking areas along Highway 12 to facilitate the movements of the loads. These people are not nuts, Mr. Frew. They've lost access to prime recreation sites before. We also don't think it's nuts for Idahoans to want to protect their Clearwater, Lochsa, and Highway 12 corridor for what it is, not what the big oil companies and their SWAT teams of lawyers, lobbyists, and public relations firms want it to be. It's nuts, we think, however, for IDT to ignore the concerns of people. At least that's what the agency did before local residents took the agency to court and Director Ness approved the contested case hearings that we had this week. We also think that it's nuts that ITD never, I repeat, never, formally solicited public comments on the ConocoPhillips permits. It's nuts that ITD never considered the scenic qualities of the Highway 12 corridor, or the fact that the great rivers that Highway 12 runs along are among the first wild and scenic rivers designated by the people of our nation. We think it's nuts, Mr. Frew, and we think it's unconscionable that ITD would even consider the proposed alteration of this historic and scenic corridor, these great wild river corridors, and this land of incredible recreation opportunities without even asking the citizens what they think about the idea. We hope that Mr. Frew will enjoy these peanuts that we've come to deliver today, and we hope that he'll urge his agency to consider what came out of this week's hearings. We implore him to ask his boss to think beyond the engineering diagrams and to think beyond the agency's perceived, or beyond the perceived need to protect the agency's discretion. We urge the Idaho Department of Transportation to do what's right for Idahoans, not out-of-state, out-of-country oil companies and their lawyers and their lobbyists and their public relations firms. Please, ITD, think about the people of Idaho. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Almost like a cross-country ski.